As always, this episode of the 1878 FM podcast is sponsored by Green King Sport, where football is more than a game. Make Green King your go-to destination for the season's final stretch. Why? For one, you can watch every televised Toffees game down with delicious food and refreshing beverages, and with 900 sports clubs dotted around the UK, chances are you're within walking distance of your local Green King. Let's be honest, watching football is way better with friends and family, so get the squad together for every televised Premier League fixture in an atmosphere worth sharing. That includes huge title showdowns, race for European qualification, and the nail-biting relegation six-pointers. Don't forget to download the Green King Sports app to enjoy your exclusive competitions and discounts whenever there is a game on. Right, on with the podcast.
Hello, welcome to the 1878 FM podcast with its ever-revolving door of characters. This week, Sam Avery, top comedian, entertainer and future blue coat, joins us, as well as Ned, who, if you worked at like Butlands, Ned, or Pontons or somewhere, what would be your job?
Why does it have to be like, no?
Yeah. No, I'm asking a question. What would be your job? It's not optional. I'm not a career advisor saying you're going to work there. I'm just saying if you work there.
Children entertainer.
Are you sure you've got the licenses for that?
Oh, no, I've not got. I'm not legally allowed to be around children in terms of not that I shouldn't be around children. I've just not got the qualifications you need to be around children. Not that I've got things against me. It's not other children. I just mean I've not had a DBS check or anything.
A DBS?
Oh yeah, or whatever they call it, a GPS.
A GPS, yeah,
GPS.
Yeah. I see you working.
That response, your job should be just to dig holes, Ned.
I'd be great at digging holes.
I just see you as
spilling drinks,
being inside the mascot, basically.
not on working hours, Ped. If she was like Princess Peach,
I could just see you as the whatever. I don't know, Billy the Bear.
God, I'd be sweating my ass off in one of them.
That's fine. You'd be. Have you ever watched Entourage, Sam?
Yeah.
Great show. The lad in it, obviously.
Billy the Bear. That's a packet of ham.
The lad in it when he goes to work in the theme park and they make him the mascot.
Yeah.
In like one of the first episodes, that would very much be Ned. I feel.
That's not Entourage, that's Succession.
Oh, Succession, not Entourage. I haven't even seen Entourage. What am I talking about?
No, the good thing about it is,
I haven't even seen Entourage.
If you're like a dinosaur mascot,
yeah.
Dinosaurs obviously don't talk.
Yeah.
As far as we know, as far as the leading top scientists know, dinosaurs didn't speak the English language. The human English language.
The human English language.
So I wouldn't have to say anything. I'd just go.
That's brilliant. If you're listening to the podcast, what you've just done there.
If
you're listening to the podcast,
to wave my arms.
Ned has just waved his arms
every
around.
now and again, just go like that.
I think we can just call that doing a Ned, can't we?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Listeners only will understand exactly what he's just done.
And me too, for me.
There you go. I mean, again, I mean, I'm not sure it'll beat Aldi versus Lidl, but what a start to the show. What an absolute tremendous.
Do you not think, though, the world would be a better place if, like, for 1 week of the year, we all had to go and do a different job? And it was almost like jury duty. It was pulled out of an envelope. So you go, like, I'm a lawyer, but the last week of September, I've got to go and clean toilets or drive a bus. Don't you think there'd be more empathy in the world?
Yeah. I wouldn't imagine, though, the other way round, though. Imagine you worked as a bus driver or something. Good job,
You have to become a lawyer,
and you have to become like in the last week of a trial, though. Just coming up to the big part of it, and sorry, there's going to have to be a substitution of the solicitor today. Bob, the bus driver, we'll give him his full name, but I don't want to break his character as we, and. He comes in and he's just like, remember that fella who turned up on BBC News and they just got him in?
Yeah.
And he was just like, be like that for the whole week. It'd be tremendous. And we'd see how well the legal system coped then, I think.
Yeah, see how watertight some of the cases. I think O.J. Simpson wouldn't have got off if Barney the dinosaur would have replaced him for the last week. Let's sing a song about the glove.
The way Sissy Runak's having us going, we'll all be like,
Sorry, who?
Rishi Runak.
Sissy Runak.
Rishi
Who's
Runak.
Sissy Runak?
We'll all be like legally required to work 2 jobs. By the end of this year.
Ned with a bit of political,
Yeah.
bit of a political punch there from Ned. I like it.
The bitch. I can't believe that though. If you've got crippling depression or you're really ill, you still got to go to work, mate. Like, oh Jesus.
Now you know how I feel.
I've been coming into work with a really bad illness the past week or so.
You've got a cough.
A really, really bad cough.
A really, really bad cough.
I spoke to an emergency doctor yesterday. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm so breathless.
Yeah.
I can't sing. And I need to sing. And I was like, oh, I can't stop coughing. She went, oh, your symptoms will get better. If you're still ill after 3 months, contact your GP for antibiotics. Like, I don't think I'll be here in 3 months, love.
Are you sure it wasn't someone on a job swap that day?
She probably like, I don't know. It might have been
It was actually Sam.
Might have been Paige.
It was actually Sam. Sam was actually at the other end of the phone. He'd had a job swap to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop
One
being
of
a
the
baby.
doctors, I don't know why he was wearing a Burger King uniform, but he seemed to give me some dodgy advice.
He was wearing a crown.
Besides my medication.
He was just sitting there wearing the crown with that face.
Why do doctors have awful handwriting, by the way?
Yeah.
Aren't they meant to be like really smart people? It's like they can't be asked. Just go, oh, another dose of antibiotics. Like that.
Yeah. It's one of life's great mysteries. It really, really is one of life's great mysteries. Like, another one is why you're on this podcast.
Because that's short numbers. Because I'm the funniest person, you know.
Is that microphone? That microphone better be close enough to your mouth. That's all I'm saying.
loud enough.
You're a sound engineer, and I'm not sure.
No, right,
No, I don't want an explanation.
No.
Sam?
Right. This is a really serious thing.
Go on.
I have a higher frequency voice than you.
Okay.
Right? And our ears are more sensitive to higher frequencies. So I will sound louder because of my higher pitched voice to people. So I'm moving slightly further away for a lesser dynamic, so I don't make people turn off.
Okay, fair enough.
Physically,
Does that all work with you, Sam?
Sorry, I turned off halfway through that. What were you saying?
Stop listening. Couldn't hear what you
I've
said.
got quite a low voice. I've got quite a low voice, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether, like, you know, when you're in a pub and you're trying to talk and there's loads of background noise, I feel like I'm shouting because I feel like people can't hear me. But I don't know whether that's to do with, like, now you're talking about frequencies, Ned.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, if you're in the pub, the natural material of a pub wall is plasticine on brick, which means
Plasticine.
higher frequencies.
Plasticine on brick.
On brick.
Does that mean if I fall into it, there'll just be a big shape of my body on it?
Which means higher frequencies are
Yeah.
absorbed. Which is why if you go outside a pub and there's a band on, you can hear, or like a DJ, you can hear the boom, the bass, because the higher frequencies are absorbed by the material of the walls, where the lower frequencies aren't. So if anything, Sam will be the most clear in the room.
Oh, every day
Because
just
his voice is bouncing around, but other if you're like, you used to be like this, then your voice is being absorbed by the wall.
Do you know, for a second there, I thought I was listening to Professor Brian Cox because that was very, very eloquent.
Yeah, science. It is science.
It is. It's science.
Science guy.
Half of the audience is like, have Ned on every week, and the other half are just like, God, what is going on?
Yeah.
What is going
Is this
on?
a football podcast?
It is a football podcast, but we like to diversify because we've got so much football that we chat about during the week that we like to bring real life into our situations.
Obviously, normally Everton is a touchy subject. We have to like ease people in.
Yeah. But before we talk about Everton, I just want to ask Sam, how was Sam's Saturday? I just want to know. I might make this a new feature called Sam's Saturday. I want to know what Sam's Saturday was like.
Can we get a jingle as well?
We do. I can feel that jingle happening.
Jingle.
Good job, we've got a musician.
Ned could do the music. I think I need 3 kind of female backing vocals to just, Sam Saturday.
Saturday.
It was good. I was in Bristol on Friday night, and then I was going to Southampton on Saturday. So I spent a bit of time in Bristol, and Bristol's a great place. So I was just mooching around. Dead hipster. Like, if I had enough hair, I'd have a man bun by now, because I was loving it. Walking around, coffee shops, record shops, all that poncy stuff, loads of IPA with ridiculous names. I am a human. I have gentrified myself.
Yeah.
Because as I've got older, I've just gone, do you know what I like? I like nice cheese.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
As much as gentrification's a terrible thing for cultural
yeah.
importance,
Cheese is nice.
Cheese is nice.
Yeah.
I don't want red Leicester now.
No.
I want nice cheese that's got aftertaste.
Yeah.
It's got a wanky name. That's the point me like, am.
Well, I mean, that's not too much different from the IPAs.
No.
You know,
no.
they do
Some of
cross
the
over.
IPAs,
They do cross over in that
some of the
space.
IPAs got the same name as STDs, haven't they? You're like, is this one I should drink or go to a clinic to get rid of? So they're the best ones, to be fair.
Yeah, I do love a bit of Clive's Itch. Tremendous IPA.
Sticky Sandra's my favourite.
Oh yeah, tremendous. So you spent your whole day in Bristol and you done the gig there, and then did you drive straight home?
No, I was on the train. I spent half the
nice.
day in Bristol, and then I got the train to Southampton, and then I spent the rest of the day in Southampton. And not to be smeared to Southampton, but it's not as Bristol. It's very, it felt very sort of cookie cutter. Not much going on.
But like the ground, very much like the ground.
Like the ground.
Yeah, very much. Maybe the ground. Maybe like grounds now should be, or like the take the impression of the city. Bristol's a weird one because it's like. It's a city that often gets looked over it because it doesn't have good footy teams. So no one really goes there. And it's not somewhere you'd go for a real day trip. So it's often overlooked, but it does seem to have a very, big like cultural centre to it because it's got all the universities and stuff, and it's got a really good bridge.
It's got a cracking bridge. It's cracking, the best bridges I've seen. But it's also, last time I was there, I was with my wife and we went to this wine. We were going to go back to the hotel and then we just stumbled across this wine bar. I never go in a wine bar. But this one, you get a key card, like a key card for a hotel room. And there's just vending machines with loads of wine in. And you just can have a little bit of this, little bit of that. That's too expensive, so just have a little glass. And then you get your bill at the end and it's £900. You're like, what have I done here? But it's really good.
It sounds lovely
like
though.
wine.
You never get. I like those little like wine cocktaily cafe type places because you never get any knobheads in them. It's quiet. It's a nice chilled vibe, candles and stuff.
Hang on, you've been in a wine bar and you're saying there's no knobheads in there?
I'm not a knobhead. I'm a nice boy. I just sit quietly and like.
I think that goes back though. That goes back to something we talked about last week, Sam, about the self service, and we had a lot of comments about the self service, about people saying they're destroying people's jobs and stuff like that. I mean, vending machines in wine bars. I mean, I can't think of anything more destructive.
It's just not the same.
It's another path down the same dodgy
It is,
road,
isn't it? No cash, are there? No cash.
No cash. And annoyingly, they didn't have that vending machine. When you're a kid and you go to the swimming bath and the flap's being ripped off and you can just reach up and grab a Twix.
I didn't know what we were talking about then for like 10 seconds. I didn't know where the conversation was going then for a minute, Sam. I was really, really worried that I would have to cut this podcast. Go on.
I had a lovely pint of broken flaps on there. Had they actually? That was nice. I went to Ormskirk swimming bath when I was about 8, and my mum and dad let me get one item, which is fair enough, after swimming. And this one day, someone had ripped the flap off, which sounds awful, but it was the best day of my life. I got my jumper, took it off, I was just tooling up.
Is
all
right
stuff. And long story short, I've now got type 2 diabetes, but it was a cracking day.
I was just thinking then, like, imagine a wine bar, right? And the way you get your wine or beer, bottles of beer.
After swimming.
No, Ned. Don't jump in then because you're not funny enough. Right. No, a claw machine. No, the claw machines you're having obviously in. Imagine a claw machine.
No, because if it drops it, it'll smash.
But that's what's good though, isn't it? That's the jeopardy though, isn't it?
It's not like a vending machine where you're gonna get. You're looking forward.
But that's the jeopardy, Ned, right there.
It's interesting because I used to get 4 fingers off a Kit Kat after swimming, Sam.
Again, I didn't know where that was going for a minute there.
But no, because what if you put the money in?
Right,
that costs for a bottle of wine, and you have to. You don't want to be working hard.
As Sam said there, right? These places are getting more wanky, coming up with different ideas to get you in, right? There's nothing more frustrating, but also exhilarating as a claw machine. You think you're going to win every time, and you don't. The teddy bear drops. Now, imagine that was a bottle of wine, and imagine someone pissed doing that, like that. Like, honestly, imagine their body as they move. Instead of the claw moving, they're moving. They're like,
No, because it's also some form of gambling.
it's not form of gambling. It's not.
It is.
It's not.
Because the claw machine's saying, I bet you can't.
You know,
get
gambling.
this,
You
I'll
understand
bet your money."
gambling's not illegal, don't you? You
Yeah, I
understand
know.
it's not
but
illegal.
You shouldn't encourage
Why should
in a place of drink where people get
adults?
drunk to be having to go with a claw
Why?
machine where you know they'll lose
But what's
because
the difference?
they're fixed.
Hang on.
Claw machines are fixed.
These places
Why
are.
do they have iPods in them?
These places, iPods. like, how much value is there in an iPod, Sam? I mean, just in these days.
In fact, they just put boxes in because they know no one's going to win it.
These claw machines, I mean, iPods are funny. It's funny when you go to a hotel room now, actually, like you hire like a house or something like on an Airbnb, and you get there and there's like a brand new iPod port for the stereo, which was set up in like 2009, and they thought they'll never change the input. And the input's like, there's about 19 different iterations ever since. The claw machine, I used to let my kids play on that. I still do. Like, and someone said to me ages ago, you shouldn't let your kids play on the claw because it's gambling. But I just thought the claw machine's a metaphor for life, surely, because it almost gives you something good, and then at the last minute it just goes pissed off and it shoots in the finger and drops everything, and you just feel disappointed and crushed. And I think that's good schooling, isn't it?
Yeah,
For a
It's
well-rounded
good
individual.
schooling if you're letting your kids pay for it.
Yeah, with the hard-earned pocket money. That I
Yeah,
get.
yeah, like with your
Exactly.
money. Like, because they go down the mines, don't they, Sam? Your
Yeah.
kids, you know what I mean? They really do work hard for that money that you would give them.
Give me sweeps.
It is a lesson in life. I mean, I just remember the claw machines at Alton Towers, and that must have just been a license to print money when I was a kid. Now, I'm a little bit more. I've always been a little bit more savvy to not fall for that kind of stuff because I like money more than I like stuffed toys. Genuinely,
I like saving
But
money.
watching people just keep on putting money in those machines in like Alton Towers and stuff when I was on school trips, you're just like, what are you doing? No, I've got it. I'm going to get it this time. I've worked out all the angles. Absolute idiots. So I'm sure you spent many an hour on them, Ned.
No, absolutely zero. I thought it's not even worth trying. I'd rather just keep money. And my favourite thing to do is look at the money I've got and not spend it. So I wouldn't risk not having it and not having anything to replace it.
Scrooge McDuck there diving into it.
I always say, like, if I
rain with 50p's.
if I suddenly stumbled across or somebody gave me £1 million, I wouldn't spend it. I'd just have it there and just look at it all the time, and that would be my prize.
Fair play.
I'd spend it on a good time.
A good time. What's a good time, Ned? Just while we're here, what's a good time?
Looking at me bank account online, going £1 million, and that's it.
That would be a good time.
Maybe invest it to get 2 million, and then I can look at 2 million.
It's so easy, isn't it, to do that? To
Invest
just get
it into
2 million.
Bristol.
Invest it into Bristol.
Yeah, Bristol sounds really cool. Actually, really want to go now. Sam said it.
Yeah.
They have record shops and coffee shops. Yeah, let's go.
I mean,
It's well better than St Helens.
yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Let's be honest.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's park that here, and let's move on to football. Because people, honest to God, people will be putting things in the comments going with the time of when we stopped talking.
Skip to here.
Someone did last week. Skip to here for the unfunny banter. Skip.
Thing is, if you listen to this particular podcast
Yeah.
for tactical insight, I think you're missing the wider picture, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so.
There's other options on Toffee TV alone.
Exactly.
Much more in depth.
Exactly. I don't know why anyone would listen to this podcast for in-depth football. Because it's not a football podcast, ultimately.
No, we wouldn't
it's a podcast to just have a laugh with other Evertonians.
We wouldn't have a comedian. We'd have Gary Neville on.
Yeah, exactly.
Adjacent.
Yeah, exactly. It's a safe space to chat about what you want, isn't it?
And just be like an average casual football fan.
Exactly. But it's also a safe space where like-minded people, not unlike Scientology,
It's not that
can
safe.
just chat round and intimidate people who aren't.
No, we
Everton.
still have to be ethical and stuff.
Yeah, we have to be ethical, of course. You can't do anything in life without being ethical, Ned.
Yeah, we can't just be offensive.
Who did you buy your shoes off? Let's move on. Stam.
China.
What a relief Sunday was. What a 3 points. We'll talk a little bit about what's come out of Sunday in a little bit, but what a relief just to get those 3 points. Look at the league table now and just sit back and go, this might be all right.
Oh, it's amazing. I feel so good. And the first half, I was on the train back from Southampton, so I was just trying to get it on the radio, and obviously the signal was in and out. I was just checking all the BBC Sport updates, and then I saw the first goal had gone in. I was making noises on the train. Put it that way. I was like trying to keep it in, but because it was such a relief, because I didn't feel hopeful going into that game whatsoever. I just didn't feel like after the Chelsea game, you'd hope there's a reaction, but it was so poor. Nottingham Forest. Don't want to.
You can call them Notts Forest for this podcast.
There, and they'll be swinging for me next, won't they? And I felt like the momentum was not with Everton, and then the goal goes in. You know, without watching it, I got home for the second half. Without watching the first half, I just thought, like, this could be on here, and a win. I hadn't even considered how big 3 points would be against our relegation rivals, because I just thought it was just impractical, and I thought a draw would actually be a decent result for where we are. When the first goal goes in, you go, we've got something to hold on to here. And the second goal, I celebrated the second goal like I've never celebrated a goal before. I think that it was a bigger celebration. It's just that I was sat on the sofa at home for the second half. I've got on the telly. The kids were doing their own work. My wife's doing something like just reading a book in the corner. McNeil gets the ball. I'm thinking, just web it. And the way it went in, I did that continual South American exhale. You know, instead of going, only when I celebrate, I go, yes, and it's lots of staccato noises. With that one, I just went, I was sat down, I stood up, and it was just, yeah! And this went on for a good 20 seconds. The kids didn't know what was going on. I think my wife thought it was some kind of cardiac arrest. And after that, we looked pretty comfortable, you know, apart from those three probably lucky penalty decisions, which we can talk about. But in the end, it was a comfortable win in context of being an Everton fan and having a 2-goal lead, which is something that when was the last time we won by more than one goal? I can't remember.
Chelsea, wasn't it? It was Chelsea.
Yeah.
Well, no, at home, Chelsea. Sorry, Burnley away. But Chelsea at home was the last time that we won at home.
But for Sunday, the last 15 games, we hadn't scored more than one goal in, which is crazy.
It just feels even the victories we've had over the last 2 or 3 years, apart from the odd one, it felt like it's been by the odd goal. So to have that 2-goal cushion, even as the injury time sort of dragged on, and then obviously Beto goes down in injury time, so we don't know how long we've got to wait. Even then, you think, 2-goal cushion, we should see this through, and we did.
Yeah, we were all trying to work out. Basically, we were like, what was the clock on when he went down? I mean, poor fella's getting stretched off, having to raise a hand like Arnie at the end of T2 as he's going into the hot
That's
molten
exactly
lava.
what it was like, wasn't it?
Exactly. It was like, you just see that he was like rebooting at the time. And his thumb just comes up like Arnie. And he's we're all like, how long's left? I'm gone, was it 91 or 92? I'm gone, how long was given? 9 minutes. So
I don't think the referee knew.
It was the referee, I think he cut it short. He wasn't asked in the end, but no, it was just pure relief, wasn't it, Ned?
Yeah, and another clean sheet as well, which obviously we've got some tough games coming up. Sheffield United should be an easy win.
Don't say that.
No,
Don't
it should,
say that.
It should be. Obviously, I'm not saying it will be.
But you just did.
I said
you
it should
literally just
be.
did.
It absolutely should be. But a lot of our games should have been easy wins, but we didn't get them over the line. But I think, where we are now on our points at Luton, what the maximum they can get is 37 points. I think it won't take much for us now to be safe. Hopefully, in the next 2 weeks, if we can get a win at Luton, it'd be massive. I was worried about these home games before Burnley going into them, but getting two wins and 2 clean sheets. I mean, that's that 10 clean sheets now this season, and we're still the 4th best defensive team in the league statistically. It only highlights how bad we are at attacking, but. No, it was a huge win. Forest was one that I was slightly worried about, because I'm not worried at all about Sheffield United. Luton, I think we can get a result there if we can stay focused. So it was a big win.
Yeah, it was just playing a rival, as you said, Sam, playing a rival, and because I don't know I mean, you mightn't have had time to think about this, Sam, with your your globe trotting from Bristol to Southampton and stuff. But Saturday, hey, listen, you said it yourself. Coffee shops and record stores, mate. I mean, you could be anywhere. You know, as the beautiful South said, you could have been in Rotterdam or Liverpool. You know what I mean? But you were in Bristol, or Rotterdam or Rome, whatever, Ned. Why are you looking at me like that, Ned?
I'm trying to think of the lyrics as you go, this could be Rotterdam or Liverpool or Rome.
Because Rotterdam is anywhere.
As long as he's not alone.
Yeah. But he might have been. But he probably was. In fact, he was. At 5-3, I'm thinking, if Luton get a win today and Forest beat us, we're going into the Merseyside derby in the bottom three. Like, that's how my mind works. And the fact that, like, I bumped into someone, because I was in Primark Saturday afternoon, just as you do, like, and someone come over to me and said, "You Toffee TV?" And I went, "Yeah." And he was like, "Oh, watch it all the time. I've just moved back from Canada." And I was like, "Why have you first of all, mate, why have you just moved back from Canada? Are you on the run or something?" And he was like telling me, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know the scores." And I went, "Luton are getting beat 2-0. And we both just went, just have that moment with someone while you're standing in front of a load of Stitch gear. Well, that's the place to do it. Those moments you'll have had. I was going to say, Sam, you've got a couple of kids. You'll have had those. Why do kids love Stitch? Can we just have this for a moment? Why did he love Stitch?
What is that?
I don't know.
Lilo and Stitch from Disney.
Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, I used to love Stitch when I was a kid.
Well, no
They
idea.
sell Stitch game in Primark.
Like, everywhere on earth sells Stitch. Your kids into Stitch, Sam?
No, they're not disinterested, but they're not that fussed. Oh, they just go their own way, mate, too. I'm trying to get them into football, but it's been a really bad 3 years to introduce them to Everton. So they're sort of not interested, and I don't really blame them. So I'm just hoping the next couple of years before they get to secondary school, we win a couple of European Cups. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Just so they've got that cushion. Just so they've got that little bit of cushion.
The European Cup cushion.
Yeah. So I was. Go on.
It's funny how quickly football can change, isn't it? Football, like a week ago, we were all in the doldrums about the Chelsea game, and then you fast forward. Luton fall spectacularly, get absolutely battered at home. They're running out of games, and we get a 2-0 win. It's just I know a lot's been made about the tactics and the sort of formation and the way the changes he made from the Chelsea game, but I think we need to really pin most of that victory on the fact that Sean Dyche changed his clothes and more.
Absolutely.
And I think if we hit any other road bumps on the way between now and the end of the season, I think maybe you should just get a Parker coat on, or maybe some flares, just really leotard, maybe, like Vic and Bob style kind of skin.
I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him wear what he's going out in that night. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's like, I haven't had time to change. I haven't got time to change. I'm gonna come to this event in the gear I'm going out in. And whatever he's going out in.
Do you think Sean Dyche has the time to go out, do you?
I do.
Watch a film.
I do. That did make me laugh. I don't know if you heard that quote last week, Sam. He was in the press conference and he was saying about going to the cinema and being relaxed. And he was like, I go to the cinema. I've got my bottle of water. I've got me, what did he say? His M&Ms, was he? M&M's. Got me bottle of M&Ms. I've got me little M&Ms.
Gonna feel
sit down, no phone on. Relax, 2 hours. And then the guy went, "Have you seen anything lately?" And he went, "You think I've got time to go to the cinema?"
It's like the reporter calling him out on his bollocks, and he went, "Oh, it's like jail in between us," where he goes, "I got loads of girls. What girls have you had recently?" "Oh, I've had time recently for girls. I've been busy."
It was like, what are you talking about? Come on.
Have you seen anything recently, Sean? Oh, Police Academy 4. That was the last one I saw.
All the films are 3 hours. I've only got 2 hours. I told you. Oppenheimer, no chance. Didn't even get to see the bomb go off. For fuck's sake. You can imagine him. What happened to the good?
As one-dimensional as he is as a manager, maybe his wardrobe is... there's lots of dimensions that we haven't seen. And if it has an effect on the team and the crowd and the results, maybe you could have like a rating like Barbie. You have all the different types of Barbie. You have different Sean Dyche. You have I love that idea, going out straight from work.
Sean Dyche,
even if he's on paintball and he's got, his fatigues on, he's go, I don't know, he's going crazy house. He's got his Megadeth t-shirt on, long sleeve hoodie. Love that.
Do you know what I'd love to see him in, right? You've just mentioned like paintball. Imagine he was going to paintball, right, straight after the game, but he wears like, when you see people, when you see it in films and stuff, because obviously none of us have experienced obviously the front line clearly. You see in films and the snipers where it's like it looks like they're wearing grass.
Yeah.
So when they lie down on the floor, they look like a bush. No, but it's not camouflage. It's actually they wear. Imagine him just turning up with black and green smeared on his face and just wearing that, and you're looking around going, "Where's Dyche?" And all you can see is this. Like bush type of
him.
Yeah. Because honestly, for an hour on Saturday, I genuinely thought Ian Woan was just standing there. Honestly, you could have had you standing there, Sam. Honestly, it's just the bold, massive that we've got at the club, and fair play. You have chose not to go to Turkey, and I respect you for that.
Not yet.
Just don't ring Rooney's, guy. That's all I would say to you.
No.
It's a case of he's standing. And I'm like, what's Ian Woan standing in the next minute? It's like he's in a trackie. And Chris Sutton said on like BBC, he was like, shouldn't it be in a shell suit? Which I thought was a little bit inappropriate, really.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, should it be?
What you insinuating?
Insinuating? What?
Yeah.
Update your references, Chris Sutton. I mean, that's 1980s stuff, that, isn't it? Although, that said, I'd love to see him in a shell suit, because I think he'd look more Sopranos than Scouse, wouldn't he? In a shell suit with like the zip halfway up and just
gold
like
chain,
the white vest on underneath.
He could do that, couldn't he? He could get a shell suit and get that little table as well. No one is sitting outside the little sandwich shop in New Jersey. Get the little table as well. Him and Ian Woan or Steve Stone just sit there on the touchline to go, hang on, we're in the technical area, ref. Not in what? No one said in the handbook. There's not in the
having a barbecue. Having a barbecue outside the dugout.
Imagine he turned up and he was just in his dressing gown, like with his vest, like Tony Soprano. Little fridge going, getting the cold cuts. That'd be tremendous.
That's
wouldn't
one for the press conference. We've got XG, XA, and expected outfits.
Oh, I like it, Ned. I like it, Ned. I like it.
Got to change the story. You can't wear the same thing every day. Got to change the outfit as well. They're a great outfit. So's mine.
Commentators could lean in. Commentators could lean into it as well when they're calling the match. The teams come out and Sean Dyche is looking resplendent. He's wearing a next pair of chic chinos and loafers with no socks. He looks absolutely spiffing.
Well, hang on. Let me just ask you this then, Sam, right? If you were to have, a Sean Dyche collection, which shop or, what brand would carry that collection? You see all these different ones. Do you think, See, I'm thinking I'm thinking
Lacoste.
No, I'm talking like a shop, because I'm thinking like M&M Direct. You know what I mean? Like Sean Dyche collection exclusively available at M&M Direct. That kind of thing. The back of Sports Direct has got a little wall just dedicated to Sean Dyche collection. Something like
USC.
that. I think that's a little bit off market. I'm thinking a little bit more.
He seems to go like when he goes to Glasgow, he's got like a flowery top man shirt on, and he's like, "You really get a feel for these leaves today."
You love doing your impression, don't you?
He very much does change the story.
But think about it with Sean Dyche. I don't think he's like a. He's actually, the stuff he actually wears is quite smart. He wears a suit. He looks all right in a suit. See, Sean Dyche has got one of those things where he's like one of those people that I can't tell. And I don't think he is. I can't tell if he's overweight or he's like in good nick. He's got that weird.
No, he's just like
body shape, hasn't he? He's a bit like Kingpin in Daredevil. Do you know what I mean? He's just like, you know what I mean, Sam? He's like
he's dad shape, isn't he? He's
but
filled out.
But when you see him in a tight t-shirt when he's out, he doesn't look fat.
But
it's a weird.
He's in shape, but he likes pies, and that's it. He probably eats whatever he wants.
Put that on the poster.
He probably eats whatever he wants, but keeps himself in relative.
But that's what I'm saying. It's hard to know what his body shape is.
He looks like he eats a lot of red meat, but runs as well.
Yeah.
That's
He,
on
lo-
my
he, look,
Tinder
he looks like
bio.
a.
Says, I'm in shape, but I like pies.
He looks like an
Please swipe.
old-fashioned centre.
You've got a hang on. You've got a Tinder bio.
Yeah, don't tell me if she doesn't watch this. She's a Liverpool fan.
Gosh, Sam.
What are you doing in
Also,
Bristol?
I'm under a fake name and I've got hair. And it's a different picture. But apart
You
from
wanna-
that, it's definitely me.
They don't use. They don't.
But to be fair, Ned,
just use it to
that
make
sounds
sense.
more like you than Sean Dyche. I'm in shape, but I like pies.
No, I am in shape, but
Okay.
I do eat whatever I want.
Go on, Sam.
Shapely.
Well, if you can't tell whether he's in shape or not, just wait till if we're safe last home game of the season, you might wheel out the Borat outfit.
Yeah.
We can all have a look for ourselves then.
Pull a shirt off.
Change the story, yeah.
Tremendous. No, we got the 3 points, and it's the mood. You're right, Sam. The mood has massively changed now. We I think get at least if we can get 4 more points, then we need 7 to be absolutely guaranteed. 7 is the magic number. And obviously that'll come down if Luton get beat on Saturday, and then obviously we play Luton. So, but obviously it is the Merseyside derby this week. But I don't really want to talk about the Merseyside derby as such, because again, that's for another show. But Sam, I just wanted to ask you, Merseyside derby, what's your first sort of memory, or the first Merseyside derby that you went to that you can remember, or the best one that you went to? Because there aren't many, so they should be sharp in your mind.
Yeah, there's not that many. You're right. I think the best one is probably the first one that I went to, which was when Big Dunk got his first goal for the club and we won 2-0. Joe Rowe's first game in charge, because that was the season I started going to match. The start of that season when Mike Walker was in charge, and what was so strange about that, and obviously football has changed and attendances have changed, but a lot of clubs weren't selling out in the 90s at that point. Everton was, like a lot of teams were struggling with attendance. Struggling, we weren't like dead low, but it wasn't a sellout every week, and it felt like every week I felt a personal like I had to go the match because I had to support my team, and they needed us. And me and all my mates that I used to go with felt like that. And it's now if you don't go, someone else will probably have your ticket, and so you don't feel like that. And of course, I don't think I was making a personal impact, but it felt that way because I was 14, 15, whatever. And everything was just the worst we got, weirdly, for some reason. I remember the fans were still quite behind Mike Walker until quite late on. I remember him coming out one, I don't know who we'd lost to, but we'd lost at home again. And we're all chanting his name for some reason, like he was going to turn it around. And I remember he came out and clapped us all. Anyway, he gets sacked. Joe Rowe comes in. And obviously I'm still in school, so I'm surrounded by cop-mates. We go to the game. It's a night match. I think it was a Monday night.
It was a Monday night, yeah. Monday night.
And the rest is history. 2 goals in the second half. Went absolutely, never celebrated goals like that before in life. And went to school the next day. And that was the joyous thing, because I remember all the Liverpool fans in school who didn't watch the football and never went to match were going, well, you can't play like that every game of the season. You can't play with that intensity. And I said, I think we can. And we did pretty much. And then won the cup that season. But I felt like that was such a important memory in my head of being an Everton fan. And I feel sorry for kind of young fans who've perhaps not experienced anything like that, even though that wasn't that just moved off the bottom of the table at the time. But it was such a big win. And get second goal late on as well was just fantastic. So that's probably first and my best.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it wasn't my first, but certainly I think that's up there with one of my best. Yeah, our attendances around that time were the average was about 28,000, I think, at that time. And as you said, football was very different. When I
go the match and the attendance was up 1 week. I remember we played Sheffield Wednesday at home, and I think the attendance was 35,000. And I used to really, because I was young, I used to really go, what's the attendance today? It looks busy. And it'd come up, and I'd be like, and I'd get really anxious about, there's more people here than normal, and the team aren't playing as well as they did last week. That means these new people aren't going to come back. It's such a strange to think about that now.
Yeah, I was going to say though, this was in the days of paying on the gate. So whether those attendances figures were correct, I'm not 100% sure, because it was paying on the gate, and I remember when it was the terracing in the Gladys Street, and they'd come up and go, today's attendance is 26,000, and you'd look around going, and there's nowhere to move and stuff. But no, I remember that because We'd actually won the home game before that. We'd actually been on a 3-game undefeated. We'd drawn 2 and won 1. And then he was sacked after losing 3 on the bounce before that. So we were actually on a good run before that Liverpool game, for us anyway. And we'd beaten West Ham at home. We beat them 1-0. Gary Ablett had scored the winning goal. And I'll be honest, the atmosphere for that game was one of the greatest atmospheres I've ever been in. It was the first win of the season. I think it was the first win of the season at home, and it was.
Which one was that? Was that the November one?
This was November the 1st, and it was our first win of the season.
Is that Ferguson's first goal?
No. This is the West Ham game, and the atmosphere was unbelievable. Like, absolutely, like you've never heard a team roared on, like Sam was saying there. Never heard a team roared on like you did in this game, holding on to a 1-0 lead, like people throwing bodies on the line. It was like the beginning of Saving Private Ryan. It was unbelievable. People just everywhere, just making sure we got this win, and we got it. And it was just, I just remember being unbelievable. And in those days, Sam's right. It was like I used to go to the game on my own. It felt like you were a calling rather than any. I know people think it's bad now. Yeah, but then it was like you'd some lads in their teens going, and it being like you must go. It's like there's no other way around. You have to be there. And I know there's a little bit of a feeling like that certainly on Sunday and stuff at times, but it's different now with all seating and everyone's got their tickets and everything. Then it was like you didn't know till you were paying on the gate. No one had season tickets then. You were rich if you had a season ticket. You had your junior Evertonian card, and it felt like there was just this huge amount of teenage lads who it was like absolutely their duty to be there. And obviously it's after hooliganism as well, so it's a different kind of feeling as well. It's more people are starting to be. It's more like people who wanted to. It's a generation that just missed out on raving as well. We're all too young to rave, but we all want to. But we love our footy. It was just a mad time. So the Derby game that Sam's talking about, it was unbelievable. You know, I was in the Galaxies on my own, and people are hugging you, and girls are kissing you. You've never don't know any of them, and it was just it felt like that one moment where you went. And this is what people don't understand on the outside about Dunk is. Dunk at that moment gave us a hero, and he felt like you just instantly connected with someone who's a little bit older than you, but there was just that instant connection with Duncan. And to this day, why I love him, because you just in that moment it found like you just found your hero, and everything was coming together. And all right, we were in a good side, but obviously we went on and won the FA Cup, and that to me is one of and the relief when Paul Rideout just slid that ball into the back of the net was just unbelievable. Get those 3 points, and that was honestly what I know. People will go, you know, people of other fans of other teams will go, well, it was winning the European Cup, or it was this, or it was that, but no one can ever take those moments away from you, can they, Sam?
Oh, no, not at all. And I used to have this conversation with my dad all the time, because my dad's a big blue, he was, but whenever we used to like canonise Duncan Ferguson, he'd be going, well, he's not done enough to be a legend, because obviously he'd grown up with people who'd won leagues and stuff. But you're right, Ped, because he just turned up at a time when we didn't have a talisman, and he scored important goals against big teams. He always played his best games against big teams, Man United, Liverpool. He had some really good performance, all-round performance as well, not just getting the goals, but dominating their defences. And he just gave us the focal points. And it'd be interesting in the state that the club's in now, and the position that we're in now, and the sort of terrible several years that we've had to endure, if a similar player could arrive, they would be worshipped. Yeah. You know, Duncan wasn't getting 30 goals a season, but he was getting important goals. And I think we had a little glimmer of that with Richarlison, but not on the same level. You can't even compare them in a way, because Duncan Ferguson, what he meant to the club, he gave us hope. He gave us a chance that things were going to get better, and he showed us that. And that's why when he left, it was so devastating, wasn't it? But, you know, for a good period of time, and I'm really glad he came back, and I like Cody Rhodes finished the story. But he gave us this thing to get behind. And this, you know, and alongside Joe Royle as well, who came in and was I really enjoyed when he came in, gets the Derby win, and then beat Leeds, I think. Home, the next
we got Chelsea, beat Chelsea, didn't we? That was the last time we beat Chelsea as well, those 3 games.
and Hinchcliffe corner, Duncan heading it in. It seemed like every goal was that.
Yeah.
I remember singing, "Ooh, we've got a corner." It became like a little chant for a couple
You
of
know
weeks.
what? I
'Cause
still think I've got that Leeds game on VHS.
Oh,
I think I broke the tab on it. You know what I mean? I think I taped over my mum's Thornbirds.
Commitment. You broke the tab.
I broke the tab, mate. I've still got that somewhere. But no, I remember as well. I know we're going slightly off here, but I remember it got to the point where I remember rocking up on Boxing Day, didn't have a tick, and I didn't get in for the Boxing game against Sheffield Wednesday. So I went to Stanley Park and I climbed up a tree just to get all I could see was the gap between the Park end and the Bullens. And I just sort of caught Duncan score. We win them 1-0, and they ended up beating us 4-1. And it didn't half take the air out the balloon because December had been absolutely amazing. November and December had been amazing, and they beat us 4-1. But you still had that belonging, you still had that feel. And I think I remember going the next day into town, and I went to Soccer. Do you remember Soccer City on Bold Street?
Yeah.
I went to Soccer City and bought like an Everton training top in the sales for like, I don't know, whatever it was, half price because it was a Boxing Day sale sort of thing. And everything I owned was just Everton. Like my Christmas Day clothes, my Boxing Day clothes, everything. And I went in and bought like a training top the next day. And it's just like my whole life. I mean, if you think it's bad now, my whole life was just Everton.
You'd have been like 15, 16.
Everything was just, my whole life. So. But go on, Ned. What's yours then? What's your Derby moment? Your memory? You're younger than us, so obviously it'll be slightly different for you.
No, it is weird because obviously when I was growing up, the wins came. Well, they were rare, and obviously, the Andy Johnson Derby. I was too young to understand how big of a win it was. I was like 4 or 5 years old, 6 maybe.
Pick a year, Ned.
5.
Come on.
But no, they would always. We never really beat. We never really beat them, even though they weren't amazing. When I was growing up, we finished above them a few times. And then we get to obviously 2021, and remember that first goal going in at Anfield, and you're thinking, you don't celebrate it properly. You celebrate it, but you're thinking, oh, it's too early, or because you've grown up obviously with so much disappointment in the derby, you don't expect it to go on. But when that second goal goes in, the penalty, it's just like a realisation that's going to happen. And because I was either too young the last time we beat them, 2010. I would have been 10, or it wasn't that long ago since we beat them before that. It wasn't really that, didn't feel that big of a thing at that age. But obviously, you get to, I was in my 20s. I've lived a life of just being laughed at by Reds, and that going in, it's finally, you get a short period of time, a few months where, you beat them. And obviously, a few months prior to that, or a year prior to that, we'd been beat by the kids, hadn't we? The under 21. So
see,
that was a huge.
Actually, I can't take. I mean, I don't know about you.
It's hard to take it.
I don't really take any joy in. I mean, it was good that we went there and beat them 2-0. It was a brilliant at that moment. But I don't really look at that game as it being actually real. I don't really look at the cup. But fair play. That's all you've got. That's all you've got. I just don't look at that COVID year as being real, to be honest. I don't know about you, Sam. I look at that COVID year now taking a step back after a few years. And I heard Gabby Logan was talking about last week on one of the podcasts she does, and she's just like, that whole year being in the grounds, when you look back at it now, she's just like, it wasn't real. It was all just training games. The players weren't asked. And I'm not taking anything away from that because that is your moment.
It was more the seasons where we'd finish above them.
But it's when people look back at Ancelotti and they go, he was terrible that year and we got beaten on by this team and that year, and you're just thinking, they were phoning it in. They were going to training every day, getting the stuff jabbed up their nose, twice a day to make sure they didn't have COVID. They're all in different buses. They're all training at different times. That year, now looking back, was just one big nonsense and
zero intensity.
There was nothing about it. So I mean, you can't take that moment away. And we've actually got a picture of the celebrations in our studio. So we've jumped into it with 2 feet. But it is sad. It's sad that you haven't got that. That's the saddest thing, that your generation, never mind all the other problems at Everton, you don't have anything to celebrate.
I've never felt like we're going to win it more than when. Probably last year's when we had a real good go at them under Lampard. And obviously that Conor Cody goal goes in. I'm not even thinking about VAR. Because we played so well, I was expecting us to score one of these chances. When that goes in, it was like bedlam. But I wasn't even thinking about VAR. I was just like,
I'll go win the derby. But
how are you feeling about it at this moment, Sam? We're recording on Tuesday. Obviously, the derby's tomorrow. Have you got any emotion to it at all?
I try not to think about it until, an hour before, because I just get too anxious and nervous. I'm not, to be honest, my expectations are so low based on the last, 30 years, but certainly the last 10 years, there's just been not a lot to shout about. I think the fact that we won on Sunday takes the pressure off massively, which has made my mood change, because I didn't want the derby being must win. Because I don't think we should approach the game, in the way that we approached the Chelsea away game when we got bounced 6-0. Yeah. We were trying to play them at their own game. We've got to play the way that we and this team set up to play, which is not exciting and not pretty, but it's kind of, you've got to deal with the cards that you dealt. So I feel like a draw would be a great result. Another point takes the points off them. That's so secondary. It's all about our survival, and getting another point and just hopefully putting a little bit more pressure on Luton and watching Forest just melt themselves down from the inside. I'm confident we can get a point now. It's weird in a football how it changes, because it just after the Chelsea game, if the Liverpool game was the next game, I would have said we're going to get battered, but it just I don't know. It's optimism, and if optimism is unfounded, not based on data, who cares? Because you might as well feel good going into something and then see what happens. But a point would be great, wouldn't it? A point.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're absolutely right about winning changes everything, and I'm open that Arsenal beat Chelsea tonight, so that, and that's not like me. I mean, of course, we don't want Liverpool to win the league. Of course we don't. But the point being is, if Arsenal win tonight, then it means Liverpool can't really relax. And obviously that's going to help us. And that makes it a game where it's not really a Merseyside derby for the bragging rights. Because, I mean, it hasn't been anyway for the last few years as such, because we haven't won one for a very long time. But it becomes then a game where both teams need to get something for actually where they are in the league, and I think that's more important. That takes that pressure off of, I mean, of course, afterwards, if it goes the wrong way, they're still going to give a stick, and I'm not really asked about that. But just if Arsenal can win, and it puts that little bit of pressure on them. And you're right. I think they've only beaten us twice, I think, at Goodison in the last 10 years. We've got all the rest have been draws. I know that, but a draw would be a good result for us. So I'm hoping that pressure is on them come kick off, and they can't go back top of the league, and they're just trying to hold on to the coattails of Arsenal, and hopefully that puts that little bit of pressure on that gives us a big chance. How are you feeling, Ned?
I think I'm just looking at get as much points as we can, and hope that Luton drop more points, because what's the most they can get? 37 from the next 4 games. They drop points on the weekend, and we somehow get a point against Liverpool. Try not to lose that Brentford game. I think we'll have a really good chance.
Well, the dream is 4 points. The dream is 4 points out of 2 games. If you get 4 points out of 2 games, and Wolves beat Luton, then it's done.
I think the pressure's all on Liverpool, to be honest. Obviously, where they are and compared to where we are, it should be, an easy game for them. But like Dyche said, we've got to change that story.
Yeah, that's it. And Dyche could be, if Everton were to win, Dyche suddenly becomes...
It would take a lot of pressure.
He becomes a hero.
Yeah.
He becomes a hero. He is the Messiah then, isn't he? He is the Messiah. He's not he's not a naughty boy. He is the Messiah.
Whether they'll crumble more if Arsenal lose, because the pressure's on them to win, to go top. Whether they'll see that as a bit more pressure, because they seem to crumble under pressure a bit the past few weeks, especially past few seasons when they've had to get a result at Goodison. Remember the 0-0 when they had to win, and City went on to win the league. So interesting one.
Well, we said we'd talk about it, so we'll talk about it. What have you made, Sam, of the fallout of the Nottingham Forest situation? The three penalties that they said were all definite penalties. I mean, first of all, what did you think about the actual penalties?
I thought all of them were sort of 50-50. Could have gone either way. I personally thought probably one of them at least was a penalty. I think the last one, the third one, I thought was probably a pen. But I'm not sure it does in itself at the end of the season. But we've all been the victim of terrible refereeing decisions, and it's really interesting how your opinion of a football club can change quite quickly when that tweet comes out, because I think a lot of people had a lot of sympathy for Notts Forest. As you know, I've spoken to loads of fans of other clubs who've got sympathy with Everton, the way we've been dealt with the PSR and the FFP and all the kind of points deductions. And I think people felt that way about Forest, but then that tweet comes out, and I think it was the immediacy of the tweet as well. It came out so quickly. It was obviously being drafted during the match. And at first, you're like, is that real? Is that the real account? It just looked like it was some blag account, because the way it was written. And I put on Twitter, it sounds like Donald Trump's written this, because there was mild threat in there. You know, we're considering all our options. What does that mean? You know, going to phone the boys, send them round. It's like, what's happening? So, and then I saw today that they're threatening legal action against Gary Neville for saying that they sounded like a mafia gang, which they did.
Yeah.
It did sound like that. So they're just threatening everyone now, but it's got the fingerprints of Mark Berg all over. And I've got to say, I never liked him as a referee. Yeah. I mean, Merseyside Derbies, we all know which one I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
But also, even Gladiators, he was rubbish on that as well.
He was shite, wasn't he? The way he come up to people and go, "You're disqualified because you touched someone else's ring." You know what I mean? I mean, come on.
Come on. That's why they're there, isn't it?
That's it.
Fringe benefit.
It was probably the most unprofessional.
It was very unusual behaviour, and it was slightly unhinged. And I am all for this, because it's the heat of Everton in the mess that we are. And let's not take, you know, with our club, we've talked loads on this podcast. You've talked loads on the channel about the state of the club in every single department. But it's great, isn't it, when another club's just like saying, "Hold my beer."
Mm-hmm. It's so ironic, because they got 4 points for mitigating circumstances for being so nice to the Premier League, and the next thing they just gone full gung-ho. Oh, you're just cheats, and we told you that Luton, like you said yesterday, they were trying to set a narrative, weren't they? And it's just a nonsense. And I look at the penalties. If they were clear penalties like some of ours were this season, the tweet would still be bizarre, but I'll understand like a statement or something. But then you look at the penalties, and it's so petty. The first one, it's such a delayed reaction, falling himself to the ground. The fact that they were all checked as well. The second one, I don't know where he's meant to put his arm. I know the rules maybe need looking at, because there are some given this season where you think, well, where is he meant to put his arm? But then there's also the amount of penalties, like on Sunday, that haven't been given, like Van Dijk against Brighton, which is probably more so a penalty than the Young one. And then the third one is, I said on Sunday, is the only one that you could probably argue for is that third one. I actually thought Young had an okay game. The third penalty is probably a bit naive from Young, even though he's.
I think the third one's definitely a penalty for me. I think it's definitely a penalty. The first one's not. I watched it in real time, and everyone was just shouting him to get up in the whole Gladys seats, calling him a diver. And the handball, like you both said there, it's one of them, isn't it? It's like, if he was standing still and stuck his arm out like he was waiting for a bus, like Michael Keane, then you'd say it was a penalty. But because he's actually moving with his body's actually turning around, his arms naturally swinging around, and it hits it. And we have seen them given. I think we seen one given within hours of it in the semi-final for Coventry, and that distorts it. But I just love the idea, Sam, of the owner of Forest having the login for Twitter. I just love that idea, or grabbing some young lad's phone like Ned, who works for Forest, and just grabbing hold of it and just like pressing all the buttons till he found the Twitter app, and then writing it all down, and then, going over the 280 characters or whatever it is, because they don't have they haven't paid for like the premium, the Musk tax on Twitter. And then having to redo it again so it fits in, and then, that horrible pink line that comes up because you've gone too many characters over, and then going, right, how can I, instead of saying and, do the character for and all that, just to fit it all in, and then just pressing send, and then just some young lad behind them just going, oh, lad, what have you done? What have you done? I'm picturing all that, and it's just glorious to think about.
It's beautiful, and in my head, he's sitting on one of those lazy boy chairs with a fridge in the side, and he's had a couple of beers, and he's wearing this tight pair of underpants, and he's watching the telly on a big screen, and he's watching the game, and he's trying to type it in, and while he's trying to type it in, all the Notts Forest staff are banging on the door going, Mr. Owner, don't do that, please. You're going to ruin everything. He's like, nah, this club, I'll do what I want. And he's just pressing send, and then the whole world just turns on the entire club. And it's normally us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Normally Everton.
That's been the glory. That's been the glorious side of it, though, Sam, is that for once we're sitting in the background going, "Oh my God, what have you done?" Do you know what I mean? As a football club, but normally it's like us looking at our football club going, "Oh no, what have you done?" But we're just sitting in the background while all this heat's on somebody else, and we're the other side of it. But that's, we were sort of saying yesterday on the channel, was like, are people going to think we're like, are people going to go, you only, you know, if we stay up, you stayed up because Forest were cheated? But it is that thing of like watching the build, you know, the gif of the young girl watching the building burn and just that little wry smile comes up. It is that there's a little bit of that going, God, it's great to see someone else's house on fire rather than ours.
Oh, it's wonderful, isn't it? And I'm all about solidarity for football fans and you know, some of the bigger issues like ticket prices that people have joined together for, and I suppose the general feeling that the top six, you know, the way cartel's thrown about and they're controlling the narrative of the game and the future of the game, and the other clubs have to join together, and there's got to be a lot of unity there, and I'm all about that. But then this happens and you go, thank God it's not us. And also off the back of some, you know, pretty, you know, noxious chant going on when
exactly,
well, I know it was a minority, but you know, stuff like that, you sort of go, okay, well, your club's being run possibly worse than ours, and if you can make Everton look like the adults in any situation, you need to look in the mirror and have a good hard look at yourself.
I must admit, like, to see Beto on the floor and to hear them and Morgan Gibbs White and to hear their fans chanting some of the stuff they were chanting. You can't, you know, a few people have had a go at me on Twitter amongst Liverpool fans for like, about the you know, for like joking about the situation. But like, they're chanting about, you know, poverty and stuff like that. Of course, we've got to have a right to have a go at them, you know. I mean, watching me 71-year-old father screaming scabs at them was a joy, I must admit. It was an absolute joy. And there was two kids next to him and he had to explain to them what a scab was and why they were scabs and why they could have brought down Thatcher but didn't. And these two kids are just like, yeah, can you put that in a TikTok, old man? It was like my dad was shouting at clouds. It was tremendous, though. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it massively. Yeah. He's like, if they done
the
this,
reason Thatcher wasn't brought down is their fault in the corner at the park end. That's why we've had the Tory government for so long in the 80s.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. So yeah, it is. You got to have a little bit of education though. But the idea that they're going to get any sympathy off us when they're singing songs about poverty and stuff, and both games, by the way, I don't know who Forest fans think they are. By the way, I mean you've just, you know, Nottingham makes Bristol look like...
Yeah, they've announced bankruptcy.
They've announced what? Sorry.
Bankruptcy.
Yeah, Bristol makes Nottingham look like, honestly.
It's so ironic.
God knows, but...
I'm glad the tweet's being investigated, and it probably is just the owner being petulant. And it won't be the first time, by the way, the owner's making awful PR decisions. Imagine you're a PR officer or PR manager or whatever. Your job is to make the club look good. PR, and your owner gets involved, and you can't do anything about it if an owner comes involved. But that's the point in an owner giving you the job because you know better. Yeah. And then they just come along and go, now I'm going to tweet this.
Apparently, the owner wanted it to be even the tweet to be even stronger, and I don't know what a stronger
like
tweet.
Sean Bean stronger.
Like I don't know. Yeah, bastards. I don't know how it could have been stronger other than to like basically call the ref and you know, or put like, I don't know, get a picture of the VAR with them wearing like actually wearing a Luton shirt or something. I really don't know.
Or just overuse of emojis, just all the random ones. You've got to go really far down the emoji keyboard to get. You know what was funny? There was some Forest fans trying to sort of prove that it was definitely a penalty. I don't know which one it was, but there was a picture of a Forest player claiming, you know, appealing for the penalty. And in the background, you can see a couple of Everton fans in the stand, and one of them's kind of going, he's sort of grimacing. And that's their proof that was a pen, because some fella has got a funny look on his face.
That's our go-to face for going the match. Just go and get a picture of the Gladys Street at any moment in any game this season, and you'll find somebody with that face.
It's like Edward Munster's screen, but like someone's copy and pasted it 40,000 times.
Yeah. No, listen, I've got sympathy for them in terms of some of the decisions they've had to do with this season. The third one for me is a penalty, but we have all had them. And don't get me wrong, I have no issue with clubs standing up for themselves. I wish our club maybe had done it more this season, but it was hilarious, and it was just nice to see somebody.
They probably had more. I think it comes from frustration. They've had one penalty all season. They scored the penalty, so they've still got a higher conversion rate than us. We've only scored one of our two. They've had one penalty all season. Yeah. They've probably had more blatantly obvious penalties not given to them, like we all have, like certainly we have. But the truth is, at least those three, at least two of them were not penalties.
Well, I wouldn't say they weren't penalties, but what I would say is there's definitely,
but they weren't clear and obvious.
There's definitely we're two reasonable people here who would be. We've won the game, so we can be honest about the situation. I never quite understand why, when something happens to the team against you, why fans of the other team are so strong about it, especially when they've won. We've won, we can sit here happy and go, I absolutely know that third one was an absolute penalty. Absolute.
But then again...
No, but it was.
No, it was a penalty. But is it a clear and obvious error?
No, but it is. Ned, it's a penalty. You can sit here. We can all sit here and go, we know it's a penalty. The second one, maybe not. The first one, I'm not having it. But we know that third one is 100% a penalty. We can sit, and I have no issue saying that. So, yeah, but last week, or the week before, we should have had a penalty, or the week before, we should have had a penalty.
We've had plenty.
To come out and say 3 absolute certain penalties is utter nonsense, and they've made the right tit of themselves, and that's it. That's all you can say.
That's summary of that situation.
That's what the Premier League should just say. You've made a right tit of yourself. Go away and have a think about it now, and come back when you get
points. Just instead of the asterisks, just change the name to Nottingham Tits.
Not tits.
Not fist.
You've got to have not, because they don't like not. So not tits.
As opposed to tit knots.
Yeah, no one wants to be a tit knot. That's just ridiculous. Right, there we go. Obviously, we've got Merseyside Derby coming up, and we have got Brentford coming up. But we'll cover all that on Toffee TV. We'll be back next week for the 1878 FM podcast. Hopefully, as chilled out, controversy that's gone against the teams we're playing, not against us, and in just joyous mood. And we'll find out where Sam's been. Because that's obviously Sam's Saturdays, you know what I mean? It's an integral part of... Or maybe next week it'll be Sam's Sundays, because obviously it's match day Saturday, so it'll be an integral part of this podcast coming up, I imagine. Sam, thank you as ever for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, well, you're part of the team now. You're part... Someone said...
My attendance is it's improving, isn't it?
It's improving. Well, someone said what a great guest you are. He's not a guest. He's part of the team. He's part of the Toffee TV family. Almost went full character then. He's part of the family. What are you trying to say?
Family.
He's part of the very much, yeah. He's going to sit there on the table with Sean Dyche in the trackies with the little coffees, which I'll never understand because I can drink them in one go. There you go. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week. See you later.